Greetings all. Welcome to a session here of Tuzi Talks. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Microsoft Office and Microsoft Windows. This is primarily a little tutorial to show you or to talk about some of the things that you should know, especially as a teacher of TESOL, teaching English to speakers of other languages. First of all, we're going to just give you a little recap here of what I want to cover. We're going to talk a little bit about MS Office, things that you should know with regard to the environment, shortcuts, and the new ribbon that's been out since, I think, 2008. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Microsoft Windows environment, some of the things that you should know there, as well as some generic computer type things. And so that's what we want to try to cover in this little lesson today. Now, before you begin, I should let you know that there's a lot of tools out there. Tools are just growing and growing all over the place, like weeds. Some of them are good, some of them aren't, but of course, that's why you want to be able to go out and investigate. It's good for linguists to also know that technology, because you can take these tools, these new things, and use them to your advantage. So we need to be a techie, but we also need to be teachers. Now, that's what I am. I'm a linguist techie. I'm one who's a linguist. I deal with the mechanics of language. I also deal with teaching language. But at the same time, I also know all the technology. I study and work in that field as well. So I kind of cross the border. And I really believe that's what we as TESOL teachers should be. We should be these linguist techies. We should always be thinking about how we can take the technology and mold it to whatever it is that we're doing, if it's possible. Obviously, not all things are possible to do that way. And we all need to remember that technologies are primarily designed for non-ESL people. Technologies are primarily designed for non-call related things. And so we need to be able to look at this new technology, hey, look at this new technology, and think about how can I take this and apply it to my classes. Okay, so the one thing that you want to remember as we move along here. Next thing we're going to take a look at here is we're going to look at a little bit of the things in Microsoft Office. By the test, which is going to be in about 2 weeks, you should be able to do some of the following. You need to identify the major parts of the Windows environment. You need to be able to explain where the menus are and where the ruler is and the scroll bars, the tabs, tab selector, that type of thing. You should also know about the drop-down menus and what those are. You should know about all the different shortcuts that are available, and there are, dare I say, dozens of shortcuts that you should know. Things like undo, cut, copy, and paste, print. So you need to know what those are. You should know about cursor movements, how to get to the beginning of the document or to the end of the document, how do they get from the far right to the far left of a thing, of a line, how to select a whole paragraph, that type of thing, and how to do it quickly. So those are some of the things that you should know as we go along here. You should also be able to do the following tasks. You should be able to manipulate the text. You should be able to change the font size, the font color, or the font type. You should be able to modify paragraphs, make it single space, double space, put in page numbers, put in headers and footers. You should be able to put in a picture and modify it, its size and crop it, and, how things wrap around it. Finally, you should know about the Windows environment. You should know about that nice little taskbar at the bottom and the start button and the quick keys, right? You should also be able to know how to put in hyperlinks and auto numbers from inside Microsoft Word. Okay, some of the things that you should be looking at. Here is a list of a ton of quick keys, shortcuts that you should know. Pressing the home button or the end button is going to bring you to the beginning or an end of a line, for example. So if you have an extended keyboard and you have a home or end button and you want to get to the beginning or an end of a line, you just press the home and end. Now, if you want to go to the beginning or the end of the document, you press the control key and home or end, and that'll get you to the beginning and the end. And then there are all these others that are listed here. You got Control O, Control S, Control Z, Control X, C, V, P, B, I, U, right? All these are not hard to learn, and they will enable you to move much faster when you're dealing with document creation. Anyway, so these are all the ones that are used. It's interesting to note that most of these are the same no matter where you go. So, for example, undo, cut, copy, paste, print, bold, italic, underline, open and save. All of these will work inside any Microsoft product. It'll work in a browser. It'll work in OpenOffice or LibreOffice. It'll work in nearly any application that you're playing with and you want to open or save or paste or copy. All of these will work. So learn them, and even though we're dealing with Word, you can use these anywhere. Okay. The same thing with these. These would not be as common. Center, left, right would be less common. They don't always work, but they usually do. Control A will work. F will work. These will work. These are more specialized. Control greater than, control less than, going to increase and decrease the font size. That primarily works only in Microsoft Word. Some other nice useful tools would be Control T in a browser will automatically give you a new tab. And so we're here sitting at a browser, and that's all I do is press Control T and I get a new window. Control T and I get a new window. You see these new windows popping up because of just pressing Control T. So that's what Control T will do. Left mouse click and what it does, right mouse click and what it does. Right mouse click is going to pull up some sort of a menu. That doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in Word or whether you're in the Windows desktop or whether you're in a browser. Doesn't matter where you are, you right mouse click, you're going to get a sub menu. Okay, and generally they're geared for the location that you're in. Okay. Lastly, I want to talk about the Control plus the scroll button. I've had several people who say, look, I've got eye problems, I need things bigger, and that's all you got to do is press the Control key, which is what I'm doing now, and then scroll with the little mouse button. And you'll see the size changes. Okay? So all I'm doing is scrolling. I don't have to hunt for something to resize the screen. I can do the same thing here in this one. We'll just go back to, here's a course that I'm doing right now. I can zoom in and out nice and easy. Right, so no matter where I go, that's not going to work. Let's try this site here, see if we can get to it. There we go. So here's text, but I can zoom in and out nice and easily. Just by holding the Control key and zooming in or out with the scroll button. So those are some nice keys that you want to remember because you can use them to your advantage. Not only can you use them, but if you're going to be teaching kids how to use some technology as you're teaching them language, these will be a big advantage to them and to you. So you make sure that you know them for the exam. All right, we should also know the following. We're going to be talking about different components of a computer system. And in general, we're talking about the hardware systems, and it's these 5 things that are always going to be present. And I'm talking about a computer, I'm talking about a phone. Regardless, all of these systems have these 5 basic components. They have some form of input. Okay, so for example, your keyboard would be some form of input, right? You've got some form of output, like the monitor that we're looking at right now, or the camera that we're actually, the camera is going to be input, right? The camera will be input. The monitor is going to be output. It's going to have some form of output. And have some form of storage, okay? That's going to be your hard drive or a zip drive. A phone will have some type of storage as well. It can store information on here, right? You're going to have the CPU, or the Central Processing Unit. That's basically the brain of the computer. And that's where all of the computations go, right? So, for example, if I press the space bar on my keyboard, it doesn't just automatically put a space up on the screen. That information is sent to the CPU, and it converts whatever I press into the appropriate action. So it's doing all of the thinking, as it were. The CPU is the brain of the system, right? And again, every system has one. And lastly, there's something called memory, or RAM, random access memory. Memory, when I talk about memory here, we're talking about electronic memory. In all honesty, storage, or a hard drive, or a zip drive, or a little memory stick, all of those are magnetic memory, or a DVD would be optical memory. Actually, that would, anyway. Those are memory storage devices, but they don't require electricity to survive. If I were to unplug everything right now, anything on the hard drive is still going to exist. If I unplug the computer though right now, there will be no electronics, no electricity running through the random access memory, and it's going to disappear. It requires memory to survive. It requires electricity to survive, and so that's what RAM is. Your phone's the same way. Your phone has RAM. It has electronic memory. So if I pull the battery out, things that are in electronic memory are going to disappear. Things that are saved, put into storage, they're going to be fine. You want to understand those 5 pieces. Okay, what are the 5 pieces? Input, output, storage, CPU, and memory. Okay, or RAM. The environment for Microsoft Word, for Microsoft Windows, you're also going to need to know. That environment includes things like the Start button or the taskbar, the desktop, and how you get into the properties in the desktop. You're going to need to know what a file manager is, okay? And there are dual panes of the file manager that you're going to want to know. You're going to want to know how to select and copy and move and create things from within, okay? And you're also going to want to know about the folder options. Okay. Now I'm assuming that all of you are going to have access to some type of a Windows computer. But if you don't have a Windows computer, bear in mind that many of these functions are similar, if not identical, in other systems. I, for example, am currently using a Linux computer, and yet all of the things that I'm talking about exist as here as well. So, for example, if I wanted to get to properties on the desktop, that's all I have to do is right-click here, and I'll be able to get to that. If I want to look at the file manager, I can see dual panes, I can see selecting and copying and dragging and dropping, and all those things work the same regardless. Lastly, you're going to want to know about the control panel and how to, these things in particular, how to add and remove apps, how to look at the network, and how to look at security and printing. Those are the main things that I'll want you to know. As far as adding and removing applications, when you install something on your computer, you may decide that you don't want it. Or maybe you download a free application somewhere and it says, oh, by the way, I'm going to add this toolbar, or this taskbar, or this other application. You don't want them. You can go in later and you can remove them. But you have to be able to go do that through the control panel. Okay? Let's take a look at some things that are listed out here that we can take a peek at. So this is, for example, the environment for Microsoft Word. So we've got a toolbar here, and we've got a ruler. We've got this little ruler bar right here. Okay, that's the ruler. You can see I can check the margins here, and here I can change the margins. Here is my tab selector, which allows me to select different types of tabs. I can grab right here, drag this up or down. The same one here, I can drag it back and forth to change the margins. Obviously, I can go up to Format and do it there as well from the menu bar. We've got menu bar, toolbars, ruler. We've got the scroll bar. We've got a status bar down here that's showing you what language, and what column, what line, where's the location, what page, what section, right, and what current page are you on, type of thing. All of these things you're going to want to know. You're going to want to know about the scroll bars as well. You've got your min, max, and close buttons up here. Okay? All these you should know what they are. If I give you a test and I give you one of these, and instead of having formatting toolbar, I just put in, an A, well, you should be able to know that that's a toolbar, right? You should be able to know that this is a cursor. All of these things you can move, by the way. They don't have to be all in the same location. That's up to you. Right, how to save. Go take a look at another one. This is for Microsoft Word 10. Yeah, and this area right here now is called the ribbon, is what they call it. Even though this is, for example, the main window, you have all these capabilities sitting here, and you can look at things and do things that way. The same thing here is a different view of it, right? So you can see all the little things that are listed out here. You don't need the drop downs anymore. You can go this route and use the ribbon. Some people like the ribbon. Some people want to go back to the old drop down menus, but you really don't need to use drop down menus anymore. And to be honest, if you're smart, when you're looking at these things, you can always say to yourself, you know what, I don't need this anymore because I know the quick key. I don't need this, I don't need this, right? I don't need this, I don't need this, because I know the quick keys for them, and I can do it faster. The mouse is designed, this thing right here is designed for people who don't know any better, for people who don't know the quick keys and therefore they can't get to information. If you know the quick key, you're not going to need this nearly as much because you can do things more quickly with your shortcuts, your quick keys. That's a lousy picture, but this is your desktop that I wanted to show you, and that's not going to work too well, so let's see if I can find you another one here real quick. Here's one. This is a typical desktop. You'll notice that I've got the taskbar down here at the bottom. There are 3 or 4 basic parts here. We've got your start button, which is your menu. You've got a quick menu here, right here. You have a taskbar. Here's where all your tasks sit. All of your running processes will sit down on here so that you can get to them. And then you have a system tray. And in the system tray are little applications that you may or may not be using, but they are currently in memory and they are available to you. My recommendation for you is any application that you're not using but is sitting in the tray, get rid of it. You don't need those things sitting there. You get rid of them because they're taking up memory, right? And you only have so much memory. So you don't want these things sitting here taking up your memory space so you can be using them doing an application or whatever it is that you're doing. Okay? If I right click here, I should be able to get to a menu that helps me get to modifying the desktop. So I can modify the desktop, make it larger or smaller, and change the resolution or the screensaver and that kind of thing. Take a look at some more that are in here, hopefully. This is a picture of the, nope, I don't think I can open it, which is a shame because that's a nice picture of the control panel. Making this bigger by using the control scroll. Remember we talked about that a little earlier. In any event, the control panel, which is off of the start button, start, and then you go into the control panel, you should be able to see it. There are a bunch of things that are listed here. This is an older style. This is probably 2007 and earlier. Later versions of this are going to have a different style menu, which we'll look in just a second. But you'll see here we've got adding and removing applications. We've got display. We've got network connections. We have the security center, which I can't find here. Here it is, the security center. These are the main things that you want to be looking for, and then the printer. Right? Out of all the things that are here, you may want to play with sound as well. But know that all of these are here and that you're going to want to have them so that you can access them and control what's going on. Take a look at one more. This is the newer version of the control panel. This does look like a 2010 version. Actually, it says 2008 right here, but that doesn't matter. Again, we have display. We have programs and features, which is actually your add remove. They changed the name of it. You have a security center, and you have printing. Where is this? Printers. Again, those are the main things that you're going to want to be playing with. Networking. I didn't see networking. It's too low there. Those are the main things that you're going to want to be able to play with. How to add a printer, how to add and remove programs, and how to play with your security system. Now, there are a lot of people who use software. They go out and they buy software. Me, if I can avoid buying software and finding free software that does not cost in order to use, I'm going to do that. That software is primarily called open source software, and I'm going to definitely recommend that to you. Open source software is software that doesn't cost any money. You can download it for free, you can use it for free, you can give it away, you can even look inside of it if you want. So that's the type of software that I'm going to be recommending that you use. So for example, if we're going to be looking at antivirus software, some people will go out and pay for software, but Avast is a great little program. It is not open source, but it is free to use. So you can go get Avast. It's a great software antivirus program. Put it on your system, and now you've got antivirus software that you're not paying for, because they're giving it away for free. Whenever I help somebody comes and they want me to, can you help me set up my computer? I go in and I install Avast. It's not the only one. There are others that are out there, but there's no need to pay money to go get a system like this. I would say the same thing for any other software. If you can do open source software, you're going to be much better off. We'll talk a little bit more about open source later on. Getting back to our class, I wanted to let you know that there are going to be a number of podcasts that are available to you where you can go and you can learn more about PowerPoint. You can learn more, get more detailed information about using Microsoft Office. There are plenty of them that are sitting on the web. There are some that are also on YouTube. This one here is just an overview of the things that I expect you to know. Your job is going to be to go out and learn those things so that you can use them, and of course so that you can take them on the exam. Okay, and that's all I have for this session. If you do have any questions, please let me know, and I'll talk to you later.